Welcome to the Fort Collins Fellows podcast. From Colorado State University to New Belgium Brewery and the hundreds of miles of hiking and biking trails, Fort Collins has earned its well-deserved reputation as one of the top places to live in the United States. Your hosts, Patrick and Chris, were born and raised in Fort Collins. Patrick owns and runs Soukup Real Estate Services, a top-rated real estate brokerage company here in Fort Collins. Chris is the co-owner of the Murphy Whitlock Group, a top-rated residential mortgage broker based out of Fort Collins. Now join the fellas as they uncover the stories, places, and people that make Fort Collins so exceptional.
Well, I'm rolling solo this week, everybody. Our man Patrick has got some family things going on, so your man Chris Murphy's holding down the fort. But we got a great guest today, a podcast veteran, a friend of my family. And we're thrilled to have Scott Marshall, President, CEO of the Semester at Sea program that is based out of Colorado State University. And as of 2016, Scott, do I have that right?
That's correct. And we actually operate as a separate nonprofit organization. We are the 1C3.
Okay.
The company is called the Institute for Shipboard Education, a very bizarre name.
I was wondering about that. I see all these like your email addresses. I'm like, that's not Semester at Sea. Like, what is that?
Right. Yeah. So yeah. I know it's confusing. The brand is definitely Semester at Sea.
Yeah.
Underneath it all is the Institute for Shipboard Education, this nonprofit that's been around since 1975.
I love it. Well, I was just gonna say, as we get started here, prior to you coming on, you came on in January 2022 as this president and CEO. Is that right?
So I joined the Institute as a vice president in October of 2017.
Okay.
I became the president and CEO in January of 2020.
2020. Okay. And then
very auspicious time.
Yes, especially for cruise ships.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, tell us a little, because prior to that, you were at Portland State University. You were a professor of management there. Tell our listeners and viewers just kind of how you came into this role, and then we're going to dive into. By the way, we're recording on a day that's snowing outside. I just want everybody to know. So, I'm looking at these cruise ships and these destinations, and I'm ready to jump on board. But give our viewers and listeners, Scott, a little background on yourself and how you kind of found yourself at Colorado State University and doing this role.
Well, I appreciate that, Chris. There's a number of ways to tell that story, I suppose. I do believe life is planned moment by moment, not
Absolutely.
year by year, certainly not decade by decade. If we stay open to opportunities throughout our life, amazing things can happen. I was a business faculty member at Portland State for a number of years, was in administration. And, one of these things happened. Crossed a listserv, came a faculty position on this program called Semester at Sea. I forwarded to my wife. She says, why not apply? Fast forward, January of 2017, my wife, Christy, and our two boys and I board the ship in San Diego. And we go off for 3.5 months on this amazing experience. This amazing experience is Semester at Sea. And, during my academic career, I'd led study abroad. I'd been very involved in international education. And I thought, this is the most powerful, incredible study abroad program that a young adult could participate in. And I just fell in love with it. And lo and behold, 6 months later, I'm taking a job with this institute. I'm leaving tenure behind, full professor, all of that, and going to this small nonprofit that runs this amazing program. My family and I, we all moved here officially in January of 2018. We settled in Northern Colorado, and we've never looked back.
I love it. So Semester C has been around a long time. I'm on your website. You guys, this is not and I remember growing up, I remember hearing about it as a kid and everything like that. But where did this come from? I mean, this thing goes back. I mean, Scott, you go back on your page and just the history of Semester at Sea. I think it was at the University of Virginia prior to Colorado State, I read. But take us back to how this all came about. I'm as somebody who loves to travel and doesn't like school, it has my interest peaked.
Yeah. So if you go way back, the original concept was by an NYU, New York University professor back in the 1920s, who came up with this idea of taking a tall ship around the world with a bunch of college students. That only happened 1 year and did not reoccur again until 1963.
What?
When people came back with the same concept, different faculty member, different students, different ship, everything. And so we really trace our founding back to 1963.
Okay.
And at that time, it was called University of Seven Seas was the original name. Then it became World Class Afloat. And then it was in the early 70s where we adopted this name Semester at Sea. It started within Chapman University, within it, actually, but then moved to University of Colorado Boulder for a few years. Then we were at University of Pittsburgh for 25 years as a partner.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And University of Virginia, and now we're at Colorado State. And you're going to ask the question, I'm sure, why does a ocean-based program
yes. Why in the middle of the Rockies?
Yeah. Because an amazing university is located here, and that's our. So all the courses on that ship are Colorado State University courses. We work not only with the academic side, but the student affairs side, the registrar, financial aid, counseling. So we work very closely with Colorado State to conduct our voyages.
Now, do you have to, let's just say you live, I don't know, in Texas and you want to get into this program. Do you need to, can you be going to school let's say you're going to University of Texas and you're like, you know what, but I really want to spend a semester at sea, get some credits. Can you then just kind of basically apply through Colorado State University, take a semester off from the University of Texas and go out and do a semester with you guys? Or do you need to be enrolled with CSU, have it be how does that work if you want to kind of incorporate it if you're not with the university?
Yeah, you do understand higher education a bit. Your questions are spot on.
Okay. All right.
Really, yeah.
My parents, I had good parents, Scott. I had good parents.
Oh, yeah. Everything goes back, right? To how we were raised. So we form affiliation agreements with universities so that their students can go. So we have partnerships with everything from University of San Diego to University of North Carolina to University of Tampa, and so on. And students at those universities enroll with Semester at Sea and become visiting students for that semester at Colorado State. And then those credits transfer back from Colorado State to their home institution.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah, we have anywhere from 180 to 200 universities represented each voyage.
And are these other universities overseas as well?
A small portion. Most of our students are from the U.S.
Okay.
There's a number of reasons for that. One simple reason is a lot of higher education in other countries is paid for through public funding.
Okay. And
so our program would be a stretch for them to think about how to pay for. About 10% of our students are international.
Okay. And does Colorado State, do you guys have a contract? Are you guys going to be the home base or for the next 10 years? Or at what point do they go, you know what, we're going to look at another home base campus? What does those terms look like for you guys?
Yeah, so when we first came here, there was a 5-year affiliation agreement. That agreement has been renewed.
Okay.
It's kind of an automatic renewal. We obviously update the terms of it because life changes, people change.
Sure.
Colorado State's been a great partner. We really have our home base here. Now, obviously, our staff has become more remote and hybrid. So it's not about, we do have an office here at Fort Collins. We probably have 8 to 10 people in the office, but we have people located all over the U.S.
By the way, I dropped my kid off right at the Sunshine House right next to you.
Oh, right here. Yeah, well, come on in the office sometime.
And it is my job and the family. I drop Chase off every morning. So I will definitely knock on your door next time I'm over there. It might even be tomorrow. But
come on up. I come in every day.
Okay.
Christy's home office, my wife's home office. I don't want to be in her business. And frankly, the dogs are too loud. So I come in and set up here every day.
But you guys have a big staff. I mean, I'm going through. I mean, you guys have a lot of people working for you, and so some of that's remote. And not everybody's here in CSU.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I like to share with everybody is we're a nonprofit for a reason, and there's only one of our programs for a reason. It's enormously complex, and it is not a model in which people would want to invest in terms of return, because it's just super complicated to run. Think of a combination of higher ed, where you have academic credits, you have faculty, you have resident directors, you have conduct processes, you have counseling, you have all of what higher ed needs.
Yeah.
You also have study abroad, which is different, right? Because study abroad entails you got to work in these countries with programming. You got to make sure the places are safe to go. You got to surround your students and make sure that they're understanding what they can and can't do in each country. So the study abroad is unique in itself. And then we also are cruise industry. That is, we don't own a ship, and we are not actually the professionals in operating a ship, but we have to understand everything about a ship. So you put those three sort of industries together, it's super complicated.
Sounds like a lot of fine print that is in that. Well, I'm curious. So we got a little bit of a background, we got a history on it, and now I want to, before we get into, because I'm looking at some of these voyages that are coming up, I want to take our listeners and viewers kind of, and we're going to go through one of these trips. I want to go through one of you and how it actually works. But one question I was thinking about when we were getting ready to do this interview, like, what do you tell parents that are like, I don't know about this, with whether it's, I mean, you get into the state of geopolitics, whether it's like, is this really a good education for my kids? Like, what is that conversation like to these parents that come and say, Scott, or like, I love the idea of my kids getting, exposure to different cultures, but like, are they really going to get an education? Like, what is your answer to that?
Yeah, well, I would tell them, first and foremost, in today's world, we need their young adults to deeply understand the world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? We can't
second that,
stand
third
on the sideline. We just can't. We got to understand it. That's the first thing I would say. Second thing I would say to a parent, is safety is always our top priority.
Okay.
And we don't budge on that ever. So your kid will be safe.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In terms of what we can manage. Now, every once in a while, a young adult might make a bad decision in a country.
Really? No way. That's impossible.
Yeah, it can happen, but they can make bad decisions when they're at home too. So what we do is make sure that we will cross every T, dot every I in terms of safety. And the third thing I would say is, I grew up as a faculty member. I understand the value of education. I believe in it. Go into a classroom. There can be great dialogue. The best kind of learning happens experientially. When you are hands-on, experiencing different cultures, different ways of thinking and operating, and Semester C exposes people to 8 to 10 different types of environments, it transforms how a young adult thinks and acts. Do you know what the Net Promoter Score is? You've heard of this NPS, which is
yeah, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's a basic metric where you say, would you recommend this product or this service to your friends or family? And we ask that question after every voyage. And we always get rated, from about 85 to 95, in an NPS. And Apple is usually around 45. Most big brands would love to get our Net Promoter Score.
When you say Apple, you mean working for Apple, or what do you mean by that?
No, a customer.
A customer. Oh, I got you. An Apple customer, and we think of them as one of the. Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
No, a great brand.
Yeah,
and yet their Net Promoter Score is never going to be anywhere near ours because our experience is just so profound.
As somebody like my mom was born in Austria, I got family in Germany and Austria. And I remember when I was younger, my parents took me to Europe for the first time. And it I can't pound the table enough. And like, we have a 16-month-old at home, and the little guy, like, I know my wife and her, like, go travel,
Yeah.
get out there and just see what the rest of the world is like. But more importantly, like you travel around the world and you realize just like how nice people are. Like it's like and like the different cultures and how welcoming they are in like when they with open arms. And then I remember my brother did a 2-month trip to England by himself. And growing up, my brother was the last person I thought that would do that. And I think if you talk to him to this day, he will say that was a game changer for me. And as somebody who was born and raised in Fort Collins, and this podcast is about Fort Collins in northern Colorado. We love Fort Collins and there's amazing things. But with that being said, there's a lot out there that Fort Collins can't provide in terms of just diversity. I think you get out there. And I remember I moved to Los Angeles when I was 20 years old, and that was an eye opener. So Scott, I pound the table on that stuff all the time. And I love it. And with that being said, like so your fall 2024 trip, I got pulled up right now.
Yeah.
I want to go over this because this is awesome. I love it. Now, for anybody listening right now here, where it's April, May of earlier in the year, when do these cutoffs? When do people need to apply for like an April or a fall 2024, which kicks off, looks like on September 9th?
Yeah. So we would still take applications for fall 24.
Okay.
It would be oftentimes college students by this time of year would already have their plans locked up for fall.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
For any college student who doesn't, any gap year student who doesn't, or any post-grad student who doesn't quite have a plan for fall, there's still some room on this voyage, this upcoming voyage. So you can still apply.
And now real quick, as we dive into, let's just talk stats real fast. How many kids? I'm thinking like how many kids? What is the teacher student ratio? How big are these boats, Scott? Like, is there other things going on the boat, or is this thing is there like, a family cruise on the other side going on? Tell us a little bit about these boats and the numbers. I'm curious to know how many kids are on each one of these voyages that you guys call.
All right. Well, the first thing I have to say, Chris, is we call it's a ship, not a boat.
Oh, it's a ship. It's a ship.
Yeah.
My bad.
Ships carry boats.
I am not a man of the sea. Let's put it that way.
It's funny, the longer you work here at this organization, the more you sort of react when people call it a boat. It's our issue. It's our issue. Okay.
It's like a fish, like a little like fishing boat. It holds 4 or 5. All right, a ship.
It's a ship, and this ship is exclusively for semester C.
Okay.
Right? It's just for our program. It's when people come to the ship and they get on it, think, wow, this thing is really large. And then you pull up to actually a cruise vessel and it looks like a little toy boat.
Okay.
Because, it's 600, just under 600 feet long, which sounds really big. But then again, when you pull up to a actual cruise ship, it's not a big ship. We would call it a small to medium sized ship.
Okay.
We have classrooms, we have dining halls, we have fitness center. We have a large union for, the one required course, Global Studies, and for different lectures and activities. We have areas, a swimming pool on the top deck. So there's a lot of things about this that becomes a true campus on the ocean.
Gotcha. Yeah. And how many ships do you guys have?
Just one.
Just one. Oh, I'm kind of surprised. I thought you would have maybe 2. So there's just one out there. Okay.
It's too complicated.
Yeah. Going back to, all those things. Yeah. So we got one ship, things decked out. It's got all the bells and whistles. So let's go to our fall 2024. So these things are 105 days.
Yeah.
10 countries, 11 cities, 3 continents. And so this trip is, by the way, and you guys, so it starts in the Netherlands, this one. Does that, are you flying to the Netherlands and getting on the ship there? That's how it works?
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
So you got it. And that airfare, is that?
That's separate. That's a separate cost.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I got to give a shout out to destination number 2, because that's Portugal. That's where we went for our honeymoon. I absolutely love it. So how often do you go on these trips, by the way?
Well, I used to go to the ship for every embarkation.
Okay.
I don't go as often anymore. My job really is to generate revenue for those organizations. So I am working with donors, and I'm working with universities on the revenue side, philanthropic dollars and tuition dollars.
Okay.
And I have a team who does amazing work,
Okay.
prepare all the Voyagers for their trip. So I don't go that often.
Gotcha. And so on this trip, we're going to go back to Netherlands. I'm gonna quickly go through the destinations. Then I'm going to ask you what's your favorite destination you've ever been to, because that's just an obvious question. But all right, on this one, we got Netherlands, we got Portugal, Morocco, Ghana, South Africa. I'm going to butcher this name. Port Louis. What is it?
Mauritius.
Then you're on to India, Vietnam, Hong Kong, and then this trip ends in Thailand. So when they end in Thailand, that's where they're going to fly from Thailand back to the States.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. How long are they in these cities for? What is
4 to 6 days. They'll be usually, the average is about 5 days in each destination.
Okay, so 4 to 6 days, and then the rest of it, they're travel destinations. So you're out at sea and everything like that. That makes up the 100 days.
Yep, okay. You're taking your classes while you're on the ship.
Okay, and once you go to, it sounds like semester at sea, what part of the reason I love this idea is a lot of it is around basically seeing these different cultures. So when you're on the ship, you're going to class, then you reach Lisbon, Portugal. Are you still staying on the ship, or you're then exploring the city?
Yeah, there's
how does that work?
There's 3 things people will do in country when they get there. The first one is every course that's taught has a 1-day in-country field class. So when I taught my courses as a faculty member on semester at sea, I had a 1-day field class for my international business management class in Vietnam, where we went and visited a shoe contract manufacturing operation, did a tour, got a presentation, really talked about how, shoes are designed, manufactured, distributed, branded, and so forth. So that's one option that when you're in country, do a field class. The second is we actually design and sell field programs. So a student may actually want something that's more tailored and already built. And that could be a half-day city tour to a 3-day overnight homestay. So that's the second option. And third option, if they don't have a field class and they decide not to use a field program, they can do independent travel. That is, a group of 3 or 4 or 5 of them can say, we're going to go do our own adventure in Portugal or in Morocco or in South Africa. Okay. So those are the options while you're there.
Okay. And go back to my previous question. How many students are on the boat again?
Anywhere from 450 to 550 students.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So 4. Okay. And then that ratio is how many professors do you have on the boat?
So 26 to 28 faculty members.
Okay. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, as I'm looking through this, and I would encourage everybody, just type in semester at sea. It's semesteratSea.org, and you can look at all these. It looks like there's a couple destinations that you bring up on different. Not every trip is the exact same, but how often are you guys going in there and going, let's create a different route?
Yeah.
Or is that you play a role in that, Scott, or is that something that the captains of the ship, or how does that work when you guys are looking to do a different course or a different destination?
So we have final say on the itinerary, no doubt about it.
Okay.
We work very closely with what's called a technical management company. They have all this expertise around the ports, around weather, around fuel efficiency and fuel use.
Okay.
Where you have to take on new fuel, new food, and so forth. So we work very closely with these external companies to help us finalize any type of itinerary. But fundamentally, what we're committed to is creating a deeply comparative experience. So you listed that itinerary for fall, right?
Right.
When you've got Europe, Africa, and lots of different Asia. And think of that experience where you will spend time in Morocco, which of course is Northwest Africa, but is completely different than Ghana, which is completely different than South Africa And then you go to Mauritius, which is this amazing melting pot of cultures in the island country. And then you go up to Southwest India.
Okay.
So we design this truly rich comparative experiential learning experience. Now, what these companies do for us that we work very closely is make sure that, first of all, these are going to be safe places to pull the ship into, work with the port agents, make sure we have a reservation so we have a place to park the ship, and all of those logistics. So we do work very closely with these companies.
Okay. That's so it's fascinating. And let's just say you have somebody like me. Now, can anybody, and it looks like you get about 12 credits. Is that right on these?
12 to 15. Yep.
12 to 15.
Yep.
So can really anybody sign up for this?
Well, I think you and your wife and that soon to be 2-year-old was lifelong learners at some point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we do have families that go and as lifelong learners.
Okay.
Which means that audience goes and they don't really want a cruise. What they want is a fascinating integrated connection to a college experience, and they can audit courses. They're not taking them for credit. They've finished that part of their life.
Okay.
Now the minimum age is 5, so you might have to wait a few more years.
Maybe we'll just do this with my wife.
Well, that's a possibility too.
Grandma, that's a long babysitting trip right there for 3 months. But
that is a long road, yes.
But that's interesting.
You might miss the little one a little bit too.
Yeah. No, Chelsea wouldn't like that. But that is interesting. So really anybody can go on these. And I guess what is the cost on something like that, Scott, if you're going to do this?
Yeah, it's on the website. So for a college student, there's obviously the posted price. So it's tuition, room, and board, and it's based on cabin type. So, it's $30,000 or $32,000 or so, depending on what cabin you choose.
Gotcha.
That's tuition, room, and board.
Tuition, room, and board. Okay.
So it's really important for people to keep that in mind, because an in-state CSU student would say, well, that's way too expensive. That's way more than I'm paying.
Right.
However, if they add in their room and board, that is all the rent they pay and all they pay for food during a semester, it gets a lot closer.
Yeah.
Second, most students are now on some type of financial aid. They can bring that financial aid to our program to help pay for it.
Okay.
And third, we actually offer over $2 million worth of scholarships every year. So when you add it all up, it actually becomes a very affordable study abroad program, a very affordable semester for almost any student.
Yeah. As we wrap up here, Scott, I'm curious your take on like the future of this program. Do you see, like, do universities overseas do this? What is your vision, like, as president and CEO of Semester at Sea? What are some of the things that you want to see done into the future, improved upon? I'm just curious as we kind of wrap up, what does this type of education, because, like I said, I was never a fan of traditional school. That was just not my thing. And I think, boy, you look at the studies nowadays and it's completely changed from when my parents were going to school. And it's like, trade schools are much more important. Like this idea of going and getting a 4-year college and having $200,000 of student debt and getting a job for $30,000, really, like, sometimes it's hard to sink in. So I just feel like these types of programs are going to become more popular. But what is your vision and thoughts of going forward in the future of this type of education and just education in general as a professor and a teacher for most of your life?
Yeah. So I still deeply believe in higher education. I think that, universities are challenged to make sure it's accessible financially. So all universities need to work on that very thoughtfully. I still think a college degree, and all the evidence shows, pays off in a career.
Yeah.
And I think that is mostly due to the way people develop their thinking skills. It may not be that freshman or first year psychology class, which could be very interesting and well run, but it's not because of that content per se. It's because they become better thinkers.
Mhm.
And that relates to a program where, like semester C, and maybe really only semester C, where that thinking set advances exponentially because you are testing and retesting the way you think for 3.5 months. I really believe your synaptic connections in your brain get altered in a profound way as a result of that experience. And that's the kind of executive function we need in the world.
Mhm.
We need people who ask better questions. We need people who don't accept stories, but look for the facts and the evidence. We need people who can converse and engage across cultures more thoughtfully. And I truly believe Semester C is that kind of program that can create that type of adult for the world that exists today.
Mhm.
So, what do we dream forward about our program? I will continue to raise money for scholarship because I want any qualified college student who wants to go to go. I want no limits. So we'll continue to push that. Second, we need to be sure that our efforts are greener, that the emissions factor goes down for our voyages. This is a tough nut to crack because every ship on the water right now is running diesel, maybe liquefied natural gas, but we have to find an avenue to reduce our emissions. And the third thing I would just offer is, this is a brand that speaks for itself. Semester C is a very clear brand,
Mhm.
but we need to build the recognition that connects to our mission so that everybody understands why we exist. And that's my job. It's everybody's job that works here. It's our partner's job. I'm going to leave you with our mission statement. It's 10 words. To me, it has deep meaning. Create journeys of discovery that spark bold solutions to global challenges. So create journeys of discovery
Love it.
that spark bold solutions to global challenges, right?
I love it.
What if every Voyager who got off this ship said, I still got to go get a job and I have to pay my expenses and I'm going to actively engage some way to a global challenge that matters to me and be part of the solution.
I love it. Scott, I love it. Man, thanks for coming on. I
Thanks for
appreciate
having
you.
me. This was super fun.
Hey, so real quick, we end every episode as Fort Collins is the micro beer capital of the world, or it's right there in the top couple. As we get into the spring and the summertime, do you got a favorite little back patio that you like to have a cold beer? Got a favorite brewery? Maybe it's your own house. We get answers all across the board when we ask this. So where's your favorite little spot in town?
One of our regular stops was Avuncular Bob's.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, we really enjoyed that. We now are going to Prost a bit more.
Love Prost.
I do like their Dunkel.
Yep. That indoor, I mean, I live 5-minute walk from there. That place is big.
Yeah, it's big. And I do like their beer. For me, I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
They do better on the food side.
Well, the food truck in the back, it's hit or miss. Sometimes they got a great pizza one that will be there from time to time, by the way. So just keep an eye out for that one.
And my favorite drink 12 months a year is a red ale.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Oh, real quick. What's your favorite destination? What's your favorite country? You had to pick one.
Chris, I have lost count. I've been 80, 90.
Terrible answer. It's a terrible answer. Just pick Morocco. Just say Morocco.
If you gave me money to go anywhere today, I would go to Japan. I would go to Japan.
You go to Japan.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, Scott, this has been an absolute pleasure. I would encourage everybody to go check out semesteratc.org. Colorado State is the home base. You're the man, Scott. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Chris, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for the time.
Friends of the podcast, thank you so much as always for tuning in. We thank you so much for your support. And just so you know, my amazing co-host Patrick Soukup over there, he is the founder, started Soukup Real Estate. If you ever need any questions about buying or selling or just want a market report on your existing home, reach out to Patrick. His team is absolutely fantastic. Born and raised in Fort Collins. His information is right there on the page. Strongly recommend reaching out.
And same for you, Chris. As if you guys are looking at buying or refinancing a home here in Northern Colorado, there's nobody better to reach out to than the Murphy Whitlock Group. And Chris Murphy is going to take incredible care of you. So do not hesitate to reach out, ask questions. He is in no rush, no hurry. So give him a chance. And I think he's going to do a great job for you. Thank you for watching.